welcome everyone. I can see Nicoletta. So we say hello to
Ciao.
Shelly. Ciao Nicoletta, come stai?
Ciao. Bene,
Hello.
voi?
Ciao, ciao.
And you?
Molto bene.
Ciao Benjamin.
Fantastico.
Hey, Nicoletta.
Ciao.
Lovely to see you, dear.
Va bene, va bene. And who else is here? Yuli?
I see Julioja. I see Annalise.
Annalise. Annalise, that sounds French, maybe. Okay, so I think we have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 countries here. Yay! This is great.
Rainbow around the world.
Yay.
So cool. Amazing. So, our topic today, let's start, shall we? Our topic today is making the world a better place is fun, which we're going to discuss how to make it fun because it's not always so fun, and how we can actually all do it. So this is going to be an open conversation. Benjamin and me are going to start the conversation, but anyone can join in because making the world a better place is definitely a group effort. It's also a personal effort. Everyone needs to put their foot down and say, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore, and put their hands up and say, yes, I'm going to do this.
Gopala,
experience.
You're talking about putting hands up and feet down. I feel like we could make this actually even more of an official beginning to this video call by doing exactly what you just said. I feel like we need to count down to the actual official start to this thing. Like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, official start. Oh, I feel very official. Okay.
Excellent.
I like that. I like that hands up, feet down idea.
Very good. Very good.
Good
so
on
now,
you, Shelly.
I
have a friendly unicorn here as well, by the way. That's my class next week. I'm working on unicorn.
Always a win.
Yes.
This is great. So yeah, we love unicorns, and unicorns. I know you are finding the thing on your Zoom for the unicorn, Benjamin. I can see your eyes.
What?
It's not
what?
On my. Yeah, that's great. So, talking about unicorns. Unicorns are magical, and making the world the better place or creating change is magic. Magic is making something that wasn't here before all of a sudden appear, and yeah, it either requires a spell or a lot of effort. So that's what we are going to talk about today. How to put the effort in the right places so it can stay fun. And Benjamin and me, we spoke a little bit before we started, and we were talking about that. Yeah, making the world a better place is actually bloody hard work, and sorry for the language. And so is working with kids. That can also be hard work, and how focusing on the fun part of it is so important, because otherwise we get burnt out. So when you become an activist, and an activist is someone who is working actively to make the world a better place. And I'm sure all of us here are activists. You know, we can be activists in a small scale, you know, in our own life, like trying our best to use less plastic and planting a tree once in a while, or doing a random act of kindness somewhere to someone. All of those things have great impact in a ripple effect way. Or we can be big activists, you know, shouting in the streets how change is needed, or taking action on bigger levels with bigger groups, or on a political level and so on. All of those ways are being an activist, someone who is here to make the world a better place, who is actively making the world a better place. And being a kids yoga teacher is also a form of activism, because the key for making the world a better place, in my opinion, is education. When people know better, they also tend to do better. Yes, when we don't know, or when we are too rushed to care about what we know, then we are not activists. We are not taking action to make the world a better place. But when we know better, and when we can pause, which is something that yoga teaches us, to think about it and to reassess our life and make new and better choices, then we are bound to make those choices. Yeah, because when we know better, we do better. When we can choose between good and bad, or between bad and worse, or between good and better, we'll usually choose the better option if we can. So yeah, for me, this is what yoga is about, and what activism is about. And beside our project of education through Rainbow Kids Yoga, really teaching life lessons and teaching about the environment and teaching about animals and about world peace to the next generation, and really seeing the impact there. We also have an animal sanctuary here in Australia, where we educate people about the milk and meat industry, and how, again, we can make better choices to make the world a better place. And both of those places are a lot of hard work. And yes, shoveling poo, and building and fixing fences, and caring for sick animals takes a lot of effort. But pausing to enjoy a good cuddle with a calf or a rooster or a sheep or a goat can fill you up, and make the rainbow in your day. And so it is also to teach yoga to children. Yeah, children are sometimes hard to work with, sometimes rude, sometimes they don't listen. But treasuring the joys, treasuring the fun part, treasuring the insights and the wisdom that they share with us, treasuring the transformation that we can see in them, all those things make it all worthwhile and valuable and fun. It makes our job meaningful. Yes, so this is where we start our conversation about making the world a better place. Can be fun, and we can all do it if we just focus on the good stuff, focus on what we can do rather than what we can't do. If we water the grass where the good stuff is happening, if we emphasize the good, we say, what, you know, the grass is greener where you water it. So if we focus on the good things grow. This is true for education, for working with kids, and it's also true when we come and tell people about world peace, or the environment, or animal liberation, or racism, and so on. If we tell people how bad they are, then they shrivel and shrink and block themselves, and no learning and evolution is happening. But if we encourage people, if we take the time to connect with them, if we take the time to find our similarities and our points of connection, if we teach through joy, then transformation happens. So let's see, Benjamin, what do you think about it before I talk for the whole hour?
Yeah.
Please.
Well, first, I think a big hello to Jane, who just joined us. Glad to see you.
Hello, Jane.
We're able to click over to the link and jump in to the fun times today. Gopala, I love what you said that our working with children is. Oh, we scared Jane away. Um, I love what you just said that our work with the kids and our teaching is a form of activism. I guess I'd never really put that sentence together before, but I really love it because it's how I feel when I show up to a school or a studio. Um, as you say, I'm ready for it to be a good time, and it's often a bit of hard work. And I think those two things are not mutually exclusive. I think one goes with the other. And what I've loved about the last 4 years of my life with Rainbow Yoga has been that fun is always there somewhere, like maybe hiding behind a discipline issue or with the mask of conflict. There's always this like, if you know what the flavor tastes like, if you know what that sparkle looks like, you can find where there's fun in these difficult educational situations or difficult life situations or difficult relationship situations. Um, that's one of the magical parts of childhood is this ability to turn anything into a game on some level, or this ability to make fun of stuff when it becomes uncomfortable. Sometimes that's what we get on to kids for, like, stop joking around about everything. When really, oh my gosh, what an amazing life skill to be able to take something terrible and make it a little bit lighter. Um, One thing I have
Yeah, I
noticed
think
this year in particular too is once I became a kids yoga teacher, everything became yoga. When I'm working as a theater teacher as well, there are these aspects from kids yoga that allow me to help a kid who is just like screaming and stealing all the attention to somehow stop and say like, okay, I see you're really present with your loud energy right now. Like, where is that? Where is that inside of you? Is it up here in your head? Is it here in your throat? Do you feel it in your hands? And our theater class starts to have some elements of yoga in it because there's that awareness, there's that coming back to it. And then we can channel that energy. And that's what I've found so great as I continue working with kids. And Shelly, as you were saying, just showing up, see who shows up there with you, let them teach the lessons that we're ready to learn today. There's this sense of presence that can come to any task. And it's like we say in our meditation conversation, you can only have fun in the present moment. Fun isn't something that happened in the past. It's not something that will happen in the future. That element of fun exists right now. And our yoga teaches us to be right here and right now. And when we discover how to put on our fun glasses, there we can find where it's hiding in any of those difficult or even boring situations. And that's really become even more apparent for me this year while we're all staying at home and our fun has to look different. And fun doesn't mean climbing on top of each other and breathing into each other's faces like it did 12 months ago. Fun has turned into how can the same living room that we've been in for the last 6 months be fun in a new way? How can dinner time, which has been a time where it's like, these people again, pasta again. Why did we buy so much pasta and beans when we thought the world was collapsing? How can these things transform into fun? And it's a delight because that means the world is open to that. And in these discipline situations, in these boring times, I feel even myself shutting down a little bit. And I see that happening to the kids. They're closing themselves, they're protecting themselves from the stress or even just the boredom of the universe. And fun opens us back up again. And so I'd love to even hear some of what, Shelley or Nicoletta or Uli or Annalies have also kind of experienced this year, because fun has taken a new face for me. And I've been really interested to see what fun looks like now that the world's changed a little bit? What do you think, Gopala?
Yeah, I think again, everything in life is a lesson in some form, and human beings in general, we are wired to learn from the bad stuff. You know, it's our caveman kind of brain. We're wired to remember the bad things because if we lived in a cave and we didn't remember that cyber tooth that is going to attack us when we come out, if we don't check it really carefully, then we wouldn't survive. So we learn to remember the bad things in life and we use those as lessons. But there are other ways to learn. Actually, a lot of um, spiritual traditions also put a lot of emphasis on learning from suffering. But there's actually so much to learn from joy and from fun, at least as much, because like you said, suffering, stress, tension, anxiety, all those things that many of us feel now during COVID. And again, if we grown-ups feel it, children feel it 10 times more, even if they don't express it, because maybe they lack the tools, opportunities to express it. Yeah, so those things, that this suffering in whatever form of anxiety, depression, stress, they close us up. So I'm here to say that a better teacher than suffering is joy. And actually, there's a bit of history to it in the Jewish tradition as well, where I come from. A couple of 100 years ago,
Hi,
there was
Julie.
a unique movement in Judaism called the Hasidic Movement, and this is the first time in Judaism for nearly 2,000 years that a group of people decided um, to be present and to learn through joy rather than through suffering. And they brought a lot of singing and dancing back into the Jewish tradition, which really was very transformative and revolutionary at the time. And one of those Hasidic Jewish stories that I remember very well that I heard from one of the rabbis, one of my teachers. He said that God, and I'm not religious at all, but this story is very relevant to us. Said that God created the world in 7 days, but it actually didn't finish creating the world. And when He created the men and women on the sixth day, um, He said, "Hey, I'm actually not done with creation, and we are going to be partners now and finish the creation together." And in this tradition, it is believed that the creation is not finished and that we are here as partners with the Creator to create this reality together. So for me in Rainbow Yoga, that's also, again, what we are here for. We are not here to let things just stay as they are, whether it's in yoga, the evolution of yoga, or our social evolution and the evolution in the world. We are really here to be an active participants in creation, and coming back to that we can be better participants in making the world a better place with joy. Again, as an activist, talking to people both in classes and in the streets, in demonstrations or other events about making the world a better place, about veganism or about world peace or about freedom. Um, I find that again, those old tools of guilt, shame, and blame cause people to close up, and the tools of connections and fun and play and joy and laughter, and like you said, making fun of things even. Those are tools that facilitate growth and evolution much better. So yeah, this is our focus when we use the educational tools that yoga gives us, teaching through movement, teaching through experience, teaching through kinetic and somatic learning, teaching through feelings. Yeah, we choose joy. And that does not mean that we ignore the bad stuff in life, because there are lessons in that too, but we do choose to focus on the joy. I was teaching a class This is already a couple of years ago. Now, COVID really made time pass faster or slower, I'm not sure. But yes,
Like
I
happy
was teaching a class.
2018. What? No?
That's right. Yes, it's almost 2021. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, I was teaching this class. The topic was practical ways to save endangered animals. And it was totally, the class was totally focused on what we can do, not on all the bad stuff that happens and how we are destroying the world, and you know, there's more animals becoming extinct now than ever before in the history of the world, and so on and so on. We didn't focus on that at all. It was all focused on solutions, and we learned it through yoga poses and through play, and it was totally fun. But at the end of the class, it was 9, 10-year-olds in the class. At the end of the class, one of the boys was sobbing. He was really, really crying. And I sat and spoke with him, and he was crying because he didn't realize that we humans can actually destroy the world around us. And this may seem as something bad that happened in the class, but for me, it was a proud moment of education. Yeah. If we don't know what is happening, we are also not providing good enough service. So when we say teach with joy, teach with fun, it doesn't mean that we ignore the truth. I mean, truth is a relative thing, or that we ignore reality, which is also a relative thing. You know, we can't ignore the bad stuff that is happening. We have to be aware of it to create the change. But you know, there is, as an activist, there's always like this grieving process. Benjamin, I think you remember those stages of the grieving process, more or less. But there is
Yeah.
denial and anger and a few other quite negative emotional processes that happens when we feel that something is lost, you know, whether it's a person that's dear to us or what we used to believe that this is a beautiful world. You know, in different aspects, there's this grieving process, but using those negative emotions to create change is it's quite the childish way in activism to do it. And teaching through joy, teaching through focusing on what we can rather than what we can't, focusing on the change that is possible, focusing on hope. Those are much more mature tools in activism and in creating change in the world. And this is true just as much for kids as for grown-ups.
Yeah, you I really like that image that the world wasn't finished on the seventh day. We just needed a break. And then the new week begins and we co-create the world. That's one of the most foundational principles of rainbow yoga is co-creation. Yeah, is
Right.
letting the class be put together by the teacher and the students among themselves. So it's so cool that we are teaching what it's like to co-create as well. Because one of the things I find most powerful about showing up for a kid's yoga class are the little seeds we're planting in their lives. Ideas that are going to grow and germinate and eventually blossom. And oh, hey, I see Georgia just joined us. Howdy, Georgia. I see Sam's down there as well and Michette logged on. So cool. Glad we're here together.
Beautiful. Welcome,
Um,
everyone.
yeah. We were chatting a little bit about the power of co-creation. Um, and I think teaching kids that they're allowed to be part of that creation process is so important. I think a lot of the education that kids get is adults take care of everything and kids do what they're told to do by the adults.
Oh,
And then, yeah.
I so agree. That's something that I've found quite a challenge just in my first 5 weeks of class, is getting these kids to actually just go with the flow, to be a bit inventive, to actually be interactive with one another, because they don't know one another, even though we've had done a lot of work on like name recognition, of getting to know each other, introducing each other every class. But then when it comes to sort of like trying to draw them in to actually participate and even lead, it's just been really hopeless. And it's like you're explaining everything down to the nth degree rather than just something naturally occurring, you know, and you lose all flow whatsoever. I think
But
it's
it just shows the power of education. It shows the
yeah,
power of education, because it
yeah,
shows you if kids were taught not to be an active participant
yeah,
in change or in a class or in making the world a better place, they won't. It will actually take a lot of effort to move them to be co-creators, either in the class or in the world. Yeah, so this is why our job here is so important. And sometimes we don't realize the ripple effects that we create by teaching yoga to children, but it is pretty amazing. We at Rainbow Yoga, we have trained over 30,000 yoga teachers in the last 15 years. And if I would calculate it, I don't know how to calculate it, but probably those teachers reached a few million people in those many years. And when I go back to Israel, for example, where I taught lots of yoga for kids, and I walk in the street every time I go and visit, I have in the short time that I'm there, I meet 2, 3, 4 children that I've taught yoga to. They're teenagers now, they're grown-ups, and I always hear from them how influential it was in their life and how they remember it. So the seeds, like you said, Benjamin, that we plant, those life lessons or more awareness that we bring through our classes does create a change. Those children, they go and create change in the classrooms, they create change in their families. I mean, I can tell you even from my own life, when I realized it was much better for my heart and for animals to become vegetarian when I was 12. I became vegan only about 8 years ago. But when I became vegetarian, I went on this crusade, and half of my classmates at school became vegetarian, as well as my whole closest family became vegetarian. So it just shows you one passionate young person can make a big ripple effect. And each one of those people that are changed, they create more and more positive change in the environments. Yeah, so this is a really important job that we are doing as kids yoga teachers. As we go into families and schools, we bring those important I don't want to say necessarily ideals, but this vision of a brighter future into the reality of children, even if they're not exposed to it in whatever environment they are. And that creates change.
Shelley, what you said really resonated too, is I have a lot of classes like that recently where I'm like, okay, and then what happens in the story next? And they're like,
exactly. Yeah.
Which is weird for me because I grew up like telling stories and what happens next and things like this. I'm finding that that the kids I teach today have less reference point for that type of personal creativity.
Yep.
They don't have other activities that have taught them how to invent or how to work together, right? There's either a competitive sports or a lot of solo video games, or even when you're playing video games with people across the world, it's still going in and shooting and fighting and stuff. So it's amazing to me that these little hours, that I have with them once a week, these little 90-minute drops are becoming their reference point for their creativity, for their cooperation. I had a class just yesterday, and we were doing like a slideshow where two kids would freeze in postures with each other, and then we'd have to guess like, what's this, a slideshow? Or the third kid would say, this is my picture from my vacation, and as you can see, this is when I was catching a fish, and someone else. We had to kind of create the situation. based on what we saw them doing. And it's a group of boys. Every single slideshow was them getting ready to punch the other one. Or we had just caught them just before they'd done like a ninja kick to somebody's face. And they were making cool postures. Like, it was actually really interesting the way they were holding their bodies and working with their muscles. But every single one of them was based on violence.
Yeah. Because
I try to give some wiggle room and not immediately say, oh no, we never talk about violence. We never say the word gun or anything. I try to move through that a bit more. So I let us do a full round of whatever they came up with first. It was all punching each other. I said, okay, did you notice that all of those looked very similar? Yeah, everybody was finding their own different way of punching. Cool. Now that we've done that, now that we've embraced what it would look like to have violent slideshows, let's do another round where you are congratulating each other. We won't know what you're congratulating each other for, but it's like you've won a prize and we have to guess what kind of prize you've won. So then they were, cheering each other on or lifting each other up or holding up different trophies. And suddenly you saw their little wheels start turning. It was more fun than just recreating everything they'd seen each other do. They started coming up with the craziest stuff to celebrate each other for.
Yep.
And you saw their little hearts realizing, I'm a boy, but that doesn't mean I have to be violent. I like winning, but it doesn't mean I can't support somebody else winning something and cheering them on.
Yeah.
And it's just these, as you say, these little moments where things change just a little bit. The next time we come back, we have a little bit more reference point for thinking outside of what we've been shown. And I think that's a beautiful, powerful role that we have in kids' lives. Because I remember those moments from when I was 8 or 9 years old, and a teacher said something, and I was like, "Oh yeah."
I think what we're all finding is creativity is needs a few things to happen. Of course, creativity can be something that comes out of necessity. That's also one kind of creativity. But the real creative stuff comes when we are bored or when there's nothing to do. And it also comes from being fed a lot of information, but that's not enough to make creativity. After this lots of information, there needs to be a period of incubation. All of this information that we collected needs to be stewed in our brain to become something creative. Creativity is like magic. Creativity is making something new, and creativity is definitely necessary to make the world a better place, because if we just keep doing what everyone is doing, the world is not going to necessarily become a better place. We need to be creative. We need to find new ways to do things. So information gathering is one thing. And like you said, we live in a world where, because of the internet, almost everyone in the world is exposed to very similar information, which creates less space for creativity. So giving a variety or more space, more freedom, more space for creativity is extremely important. But then the incubation part is no less important. So pausing, like we do in yoga, is a big and very important element in finding creativity, in finding new ways. And often in activism, again, and in life, we just do all the time, and we just get burnt out, or we stop having new ideas. And this is one of the things that we all see now teaching kids yoga. Kids are stressed and anxious, and that hinders creativity.
And they no longer. I've just found since, when I started teaching in October, again, they were my first classes for the entire year, and I just find like the kids don't have the same. Nobody wants to go first. Nobody wants to put themselves out there in case. I guess sometimes I think, is it because they think they look or feel silly or what have you, or but it's sort of like this, there's this whole herd mentality of, is it's not me, it's not me, it's not me. And it's sort of like, you know, you feed them and feed them and feed them the information, and then you can see that there's sparks, but they just don't want to put themselves out there. They don't want to leave the security of, it's better not to try than to fail, you know? So that's
Especially if you've grown up in
okay.
an age where everything that you put online is subject to an immediate like or dislike,
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
list of internet trolls coming back
yeah,
behind you saying why what you did was stupid. That's
yeah.
huge. That's their mentality of connecting to each other.
Yep.
And our yoga spaces become these safe
Mm,
spaces
mm,
that take a while to understand. No, we're here to
mm.
support each other. And new
Yeah.
ideas are great. And even in my family yoga classes, I see kids doing things new in different ways, and the parents saying, no, 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 not like that. That's not
Yeah.
what Benjamin did. And I'm like, oh, no, no, that's why we're here. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
perfect. That's exactly, yeah, I want to
Uh,
try it like you.
I
Uh,
keep
yeah,
saying
I
over
think
and over and over again, there's no right or wrong. You know, like I say, you know, I just say to them, I want you to create something that's beautiful, something that feels nice in your body when you're moving through the poses. Don't worry what it looks
yeah,
like. Think about what it feels like, you know?
Yeah.
And it's almost
yeah,
like they're not willing to be silly, you know?
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think all of this is very much connected to making the world a better place.
Mm,
Because something I realized a few years ago is that we have wars in the world, or
mm,
conflicts, social conflicts, or in the family between people. It's not because of lack of resources or not having enough. It's because of one simple reason: people fight because they don't feel safe.
mm.
And when people don't feel safe, they become reactive, they attack to protect themselves. And
Yeah.
this is what's happening everywhere. If you can create an environment where people feel safe,
Mm.
conflict just dissipates. What we need
Yeah.
for world peace is to create safety for
Mm.
Yeah.
everyone. It's not an easy task, but we need to, just like I said about focusing on the negativity as a natural instinct. Also, feeling afraid and anxious is a
Mm.
natural instinct to keep
Yeah.
us safe. And because
Mm.
of those instincts, psychologically, there will never be a peace of mind or peace in the world. And
Mm.
but this is what's different about humans now. You know, in the natural history, every species gave place at a certain point to another, either by being extinct, becoming extinct, or by evolving into something else. But at the point where we are now, there is a word for it in psychology or in futurism. I don't remember the word right now, but we are at a point where we can actually consciously evolve, not just through nature and genes, but through the knowledge that we have, and maybe even through technology. We can evolve into a different being, a being that does experience more peace, that does create peaceful and wholesome environment, which is maybe not necessarily the human nature, because if you look at the history of humankind, it is a history of wars and destruction. And to overcome those instincts, we will need to evolve into a new kind of human. And I don't know if it sounds good or bad to you. It sounds good to me. But yes, I think with the extensive knowledge that we have now, and through working together, and through creating safer environments, and through creativity, and through new thoughts, and through working together, we can definitely evolve into a new human, into a new humanity, and be the guardians of this world, like we all want to be, and not the destroyers of it. So yeah, I think it's all connected. And you know, we old people, we are slow to change. We are many times stuck in our ways, but of course we can still change and evolve. But young people are more like sponges, and this is where the opportunity for social evolution, for the human evolution, is really hidden, and this is where rainbow yoga, I believe, is so powerful. Yeah, and I just want to tell you a story here again. I like how much difference yoga can make, just so that you realize that yoga is not just a bunch of poses, and definitely not in rainbow yoga. Yeah, because in our classes we actually use yoga to teach fantastic things, and all through fun. You know, it's not
Yeah.
doom
The
and
end goal
gloom
is not side
or just
plank. Side plank is a means to an end.
yes. Yeah, so through play, through interaction, we teach lessons that are really important. Um, so this is when I was a monk in the ashram um, many years ago. Yeah, so this was
You all
in
know the story, right?
1990.
Gopala runs away from home at 15 to be a rock star, decides to join a monastery, is put in charge of the kids because he was the youngest one, had no idea what he was doing, so he started figuring out how to make yoga for children, and from there, Rainbow Yoga was born. Now you don't need to buy his
Yeah,
autobiography, but he talks about being a monk in the ashram. Just imagine 15-year-old rock star Gopala. I don't know if this is actually accurate, but it's what's happening in my mind. Every time he talks about being a monk in the ashram, he has a little pink strike of like punk rock in his hair, and he's like, yeah, monk lifestyle. All right, setting the scene. Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry, tell your story.
you're
Some
blending
of those
realities
details
there.
might be a little bit exaggerated, but sorry. Go ahead. Yep, yep.
Yeah, so this is 1995, a few years in living in the ashram, and yeah, a lady from the United States came and stayed for a couple of weeks, and I discovered that she is the private yoga teacher of King Hussein and the royal family in Jordan, and we made a good connection. But she left on her way to the palace in Jordan, and after a short few months of teaching yoga to King Hussein and his family, King Hussein's attitude toward the Middle East changed completely, and he decided to make peace with Israel, a peace that is still lasting today among the many conflicts with all of the other countries surrounding. So yeah, whether it's connected to yoga or not, I think it's definitely connected to yoga. When we connect to our inner peace, when we pause, um, we we can find new ways to think about reality, and we can step away from our habits, from being just an automatic pilot and just keeping down the same destructive path, and find positive ways to make the world a better place, all the way to world peace. So this is for me the starting point in creating Rainbow Yoga. Is this thought? It's a project for world peace. When I left the ashram and I started my first yoga center in Israel, it was called Yoga LeShalom, Yoga for Peace, and this was the goal: to bring peace, Israeli-Palestinian peace, and peace to the world by doing yoga together, by breaking those boundaries and connecting with our hands, with our hearts, with our minds, with our intentions, and finding new ways, better ways to do things. And this is why, for me, yoga is not just yoga, but really a form of activism, and again, through education more than anything, through the next generation.
How can we expect to see peace outside of ourselves if we've not yet learned to find peace within ourselves?
That's right, and that's why yoga is more needed now than ever before. Because
Yeah.
I haven't looked at any surveys lately, but I actually have no doubt that if they have done any recently, the stress levels, anxiety levels, depression levels, both in adults and kids, are higher now than they were before COVID or than ever before.
I think it's a
So
really great
yeah,
place to start. I mean, as Shelley said, if we're expecting the creative expression, which lives way up here, to be manifest, well, that's a result of being able to feel self-love. That's a result of being able to feel self-confidence. That's a result of being able to feel the pleasures and the joy of life, which we don't have access to until we feel safe. And so that's such an important thing to remember. I'm glad that kind of came up today, that our safety is a pathway to fun, and fun can be a pathway to safety. And I
That's right.
think that's what we
Like
all
we
need a
say
big dose of right now is it's I'm safe,
totally.
and that allows for
Yeah, it's
fun.
like we say in our classes, freedom within safe boundaries. This is not a saying to limit kids to do less, but it's to say that we create a safe place so that we can be creative in a way that's conducive for everyone's happiness. Yeah, this is
Gopala, would now
very
be an appropriate time to talk about kind of how we move through some of that in the live teacher trainings that are coming up at the beginning of December?
definitely, definitely. Yep. So we are not idle, letting the world go into ruin um, during this time. And it's not going into ruin. And I think this is one of the most powerful things in the world is hope, because it's motivating. And this is for me one of the greatest feelings that COVID brought about, because we saw how quickly the environment healed itself just with a short few weeks or months of people slowing down, and we saw people taking action together as humanity, like as one big group, in slowing down or stopping COVID, going into lockdown in most countries in the world, or taking actions in different ways to prevent it from spreading worldwide. So each person personally, not everyone, but most people took this social responsibility and did something um, to help everyone, even at the cost of the comfort, which we haven't seen happening much in the world. So this gives me lots of hope for other topics that needs to be taken care of, like poverty or world hunger, or education for everyone, equality, and so on. So if we can take action on such level with the virus, we surely can take action in such an extensive way of like worldwide action with even more important topics. So it really gives me lots of hope. So like I said, in Rainbow Yoga, we are not just sitting around while this is happening. We have put so much effort into continuing creating opportunities for people to learn how to share all of this with children, and how to make the world a better place, one child at a time, with Rainbow Yoga. So we have a few ways for people to do it now, even from the comfort and safety of their homes. And the quickest way to do it is our live stream training, which we actually
Yoo-hoo!
have, yeah, which is so exciting and amazing, which is happening not this weekend, but the weekend after. It's 2 weekends, it's 4 days, so you can get certified really quickly. It's a 28-hour training. And the amazing things about it, that we have evolved our yoga a lot to fit this new world that we live in
Yeah.
now. Uh, so the live stream training is a great opportunity to learn how to bring yoga for kids also online and with social distancing, and how to still create all of those connections, and how to still co-create and be creative in the class, even in the absence of physical connections when it can't happen, and how to keep it all engaging and super, super fun while we
Fun.
um, while we learn new things that can help us better our world and the world at large. Yeah, and if those dates are not comfortable for you or your friends or your family, we also offer an online training, which with pre-recorded videos but constant support throughout, which enables you to do the training at your own pace. You can start at any time and do it in the rhythm that's suitable for your life. So those are the main two options that we still give our trainings now, both our level 1 and our level 2 trainings. Yeah, so we will never stop until everyone feels safe. and
What I really love too
and
about the live stream trainings that we're offering now, there's whole new subjects and entire topics about teaching online and actually how to engage with children one on one through the screen, how to create group classes through technologically accessible social distancing, some practical tips on like just literally getting into Zoom and creating backgrounds and sharing music, and how we can still have this awesome sense of connection without climbing on top of each other and breathing in each other's faces like we did last year. That it's been
this
huge for my teaching practice. I've got so many more private clients now and private families that I get to meet with. Um, Family yoga classes that I teach on Friday nights, and family yoga workshops that are all happening online now. And that's one of the big aspects of our live teacher training is translating all this awesome information for 2021 and gaining everybody's awesome ideas from the group that comes together from all around the world. That's another really rad aspect for me of these live stream trainings is it's not just the people who are close enough to Milan to come to the Milan training or just living in Ireland coming to the Dublin training. These live stream teacher trainings have people from literally around the globe all sharing their best practices together, and it's a lot of fun.
fantastic. Yeah, and this also makes me think about technology as part of this human evolution that we were talking about. And yeah, lots of us feel resistance toward technology, but it's just a tool that can be used in wonderful ways. And just like tobacco, alcohol, chocolate, was and still is a sacred thing in many traditions, but can also be used as destructive elements in some people's lives. So is technology. It can be addictive, and it can be exposing us to maybe information that's not great for us at times, but it can also be used as something sacred. So just like chocolate or tobacco can be sacred, yes, also technology
Zoom.
can be sacred when we put it into good use to educate, to
Secret
make the world.
Zoom.
We can reach, yeah, Zoom. We can worship Zoom now, or not worship Zoom, use it as a tool for not, maybe worship is not the right word, as a tool
Probably not.
to yeah, to evolve, to share, to create, to connect, um, and to yeah, to spread the love and the brightness of the rainbow and reach more people than we could ever before, because those physical boundaries are all they don't exist when we are on Zoom. We are all together, even though we are on different parts
Should we
of
hold
the world.
hands?
Of this.
Should we like all
Sure,
just
let's
hold
hold
hands for a second and just heal the world from our computer screens, just passing the brilliant, beautiful light from one box to the other? I feel you, Shelley. I feel you, Nicoletta. Thank you, Julie, Georgia, Annalise, Uli, Machette, and Sam.
gorgeous people. So I would like to finish with one more activity again to co-create this with you. It's an experiment.
I
You
see that
have
just real quick, Gopala. We did have a question while we're still on the topic of the actual trainings. Shelly had a great question about the times in the
yes,
in
I
the
can
teacher trainings. So we have they're all happening those same 2 weekends, December 5th and 6th, and December 12th and 13th. But we are hosting them at different global locations, meaning that we've got one happening in Australia, one happening in Europe, Paris time zone, led by myself, and one happening over in South America for the timelines there. The idea of that was, yes, those three different
no
time zones create three different opportunities
or
for people. Four, And oh yeah, in
Benjamin.
the States, California time
North,
zone.
yes,
So
Florida
we were
time.
trying to, yeah, have the trainings on the same weekends, but 4 different global time zones that fit your schedule best. The South America training is led in Spanish. So
Yes.
if you don't know much Spanish, that might not be the best one for you to jump in
Yeah,
on.
the North American will work for you. And if you speak Russian, you can also join the European one because we have simultaneous translation for the Russian speakers.
Yeah, we're doing dual translation Russian style this time in December. So, Privyet!
Privet.
All of
So
that's, of
let's
course, on the rainbowyogatraining.com, which I'll put into the chat stream for you right now. All right, Gopala,
fantastic.
what kind of fun were you
Let's
having
finish
in
with
mind?
this little experiment to co-create um, this session and our intentions for making the world a better place and do it in a fun way. So you have about maybe 15 seconds to go and fetch something from your environment. I see most of you are at home. Something from your environment that symbolizes making the world a better place, or that symbolizes world peace for you, or symbolizes for you educating the next generation to make this world more bright and colorful and beautiful. So 10 seconds. I want to see you disappearing from the screen and bringing something back here that symbolizes this for you.
Ba-bam! 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Two, one.
1.
Very good. Yeah, so let me see what we have here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Great. So let's see. Macheta, I'm interested. Is that a mandarin? What does it symbolize for you?
Yeah, it symbolizes nature and feeding ourselves in a healthy way or natural way, going back to the roots. And it's round like the earth and like our cells and everything we come from, more or less. And it's just to a symbol to live closer in harmony to nature. And that's a sign of peace for me.
Yeah. And it's so
Nicoletta,
delicious.
what did you have there? Press that. I'm not so good at reading lips, but you want to press a button. Ah, now
okay. I'll be the last one. I need to go downstairs 2 floors to get something.
Okay, you get 20 seconds. You can have 20 seconds, yeah.
Can I have more seconds?
Yes.
Okay.
21
okay.
Time starts now.
Julie, what do you have there?
I don't have something because I am at the office. I work and I speak with, I'm listening to you too. So I don't have something I would like to show you, but could you, with another person?
I saw you drinking out of a mug earlier, Julie. Maybe.
Sorry?
Did I see you drinking out of a mug earlier today?
Yes, I drank a mug with Hart and but
What does that symbolize?
I'm not so far.
It's
I tried
beautiful.
It's a shiny mug.
Yeah, a little warmth, a little comfort, a little something that helps you feel good in the moment.
Make coffee, not war.
It's the advantage to work in Visio and in the...
Ah, cool.
Yes.
Very good.
Very good. I don't drink coffee.
Super.
Yeah, thank you. I love your.
Fantastic.
I'm listening everything you said, even if my English is bad. But
It's good.
I love
I
what you are
understand
doing,
every
and I
word
have
you're
my
saying.
Very good. Nicoletta, what did you bring?
Okay, sorry. I'm not sure if I did understand very well your question. I live in the mountain, so this is Il Monviso.
Wow.
Okay, great.
So my family and I, especially my boyfriend and I, we are very concerned about the climate change. So yeah, I don't know if I can answer very well, but what I want to bring is more awareness of our Earth, our planet, our what we do to lower, not to how can I
Sisi?
say?
Sisi?
Yeah, to lower the heat of the Earth.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if
Very
I.
good. That's
Ah.
really important.
Oh, keep those gorgeous
Very good.
mountain tops. Wow.
Yes, yes.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, we are surrounded by
Beautiful.
mountains, and usually at this time of the year, supposed to be very cold and snowing, and it's kind of hot. And the mountains is like no snow. So something is changing. So more awareness of what's happening on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, we can all make a difference. One foot after the other, one little step at a time.
Yeah.
I see Georgia putting one foot after the other. Yeah.
Great. I think she's. Do you want to share something you brought? I think maybe you're already in yoga mode. Georgia. Good.
Yeah, I brought music. Music brings love, laughter, connects people together. I thought music you can take everywhere. It's fun.
Definitely, definitely, and great messages have been sung before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
It creates
universal. We sing before we speak. We dance before we walk.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I confirm you.
Shelley, what do you
With my little son.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure he's
sings
awesome.
every day. He has two, but he sings every day.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Cool.
speak, but he sings.
Amazing.
That's counting.
Annalise said that her camera wasn't working today, but she lit a beautiful candle as her symbol of helping the world be a better place through one little light shining, which can become an infinite number of flames. And the place that it's in is changed because that light is there.
Very good. Shelley.
Hello. So I grabbed a card out of my Find Your Sparkle inspiration cards. And I use these with my kids.
Yeah.
And the card I took says, I take time in nature to nourish my spirit, which is really quite apt. These are beautiful little cards, actually. They're so cool. I use them with the kids. But that's so true, because if we don't take time to nourish our own spirit and our own soul, then we can't help others nurture theirs. So connecting in nature. Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful kit of cards. It's
Find Your Sparkle?
Yeah, it's called Find Your Sparkle inspiration cards. They're really beautiful. They're really cool. That's I don't know if you can see that. That's the images on the back that are each cards.
Oh, hey.
Super. Thank you, Shelley.
They're really
and your
cool.
rainbow cape, Benjamin.
Well, I got my cape because I've loved capes since the day I could toddle around with one on my back. Capes to me are amazing. we usually think cape refers like to a superhero, and it totally does. So for me, capes are a sign of confidence in yourself as well as your ability to help other people. What I've always secretly loved about capes as well is it's a great way to give yourself a hug. And you can just wrap yourself up in your own cape. Because I feel before I'm able to go be a superhero for anyone else, I've got to be full of love and confidence in myself because I'm who I am. Not because I have any super amazing powers like laser beams out of my eyes, but the light beaming out of my heart is my superpower. And I like my rainbow cape because that's actually, you may not know, anybody may not know, I found rainbow yoga by Googling the name rainbow yoga to see if I could name my own business rainbow yoga. And then I was like, oh man, somebody else already has it. Oh my God, this is way cooler than what I was going to do. So rainbows have always been super special and a fun way for me to talk to kids as well. Because when they see my phone and they say, you have a rainbow on your phone? That's for girls. I love that as an opening conversation because we get to talk about you can love whatever you like, and rainbow means everyone's included, and it has a color for everybody to appreciate, and we don't have any restrictions on what we're allowed to enjoy and appreciate. So that's why I grabbed my rainbow cape today.
Super. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. And I brought a rooster. Our live roosters are sleeping now. It's bedtime. But yeah, for me, kindness is everywhere, and if you can show kindness to everyone, maybe there's more work to do. And if you can show kindness to one being, it means we have it in our heart to show it to everyone. If we can show it to someone we love, we can also show it to other people, not in our inner circle, but a little bit farther and farther and farther, all the way to embrace the whole world. So if we can light kindness in our heart, that's for me a key for transformation, making the world a better place. So kindness to animals is as important part to kindness for our fellow human beings as anything else. Yes.
In
So
our
I
chat
think we
room
will
over here, we saw Uli as well, said that she brought her book characterized by creativity and the belief that anything is possible. And it's a book where they travel to a dream world, which is an amazing way to bring light into the world. Just like Annalise said, for her candle signifying the infinite light in everyone and everything, even in the darkest times.
It also seemed to be a book that she wrote, so that's fantastic. Yeah, her own creativity. That's
how inspiring. I'm looking at self-publishing right now as my next lockdown confinement project. Thank you, Uli. That's very inspiring.
So we will conclude here. I really appreciate all of you coming together in our global effort to make the world a better place. We can only do it together, just like the candle that Annalise lit. Yeah, we are all a little light, but together we are a very big light that can make a big difference. So yeah,
and it's 11:11 in Paris right now. So make your wishes.
Fantastic.
You are aligned with the universe.
I think it's 11:11 for
it's
Shelley as well.
11:11 for me as well.
Amazing. I see that Yochi Hartund joined us as well. Thank you for coming on as we say our hellos and goodbyes.
Yes, so thank you so much. Please spread the love and the wisdom. I hope to see you in our trainings, and please be in touch. We're here to serve and to make this world a better place with you. One child at a time, one smile at a time. We can only do it together. So let's do it. Okay, I'm sending you lots of love all the way from Australia, and let's meet again soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Kisses.
Thank you so much.
Night night. Off to bed.
You're
Bye.
all amazing for taking the time for this.
Ciao.
Have a great day, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Oh, you don't say it.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.